Sorry about that, drifted off there and we started a minute late, but welcome back. Another week starting. Glorious weather here, I have to say, very hot in the morning with Alfie looking after him in the garden. Hope everybody's well and had a good weekend. It's great. I mean, I've never had weekends in my life, so, well, not for about 20 odd years, so it's rather nice to actually enjoy them. So work sort of Monday to Friday and have their Saturday and Sunday off. Well, we did have some fun on Friday evening. I have to say the teams, I hope you all enjoyed that. We will look at one of the hands. I've been asked about it quite a lot, the Grand Slam one, so we will see that one. That's a little bit more difficult than what we'll be looking at for the day, which we're going to carry on with the defence. We're looking at second hand play today as a defender. Okay, and then we will look at the last set of DVDs we're promoting, the set 8, and of course our quizzes. We will look at our quizzes, so we will see, and hopefully have some fun this weekend. So let's look at the quiz. Let's remind ourselves what that quiz was. And I had left you with this one over the weekend, which of course is an opening bid. It's your choice to open the bidding. Okay, 13 points, 4-4-4-1 hand, and we'll discuss obviously the general 4-4-4-1 shape. Okay, so let's have a look at our PowerPoint here. So as I say, we're looking at the basics of defence, and what we basically talked about for last week was third hand play. So third hand play was when we have to use a high card because our partner's led small, okay, whereas here we're looking at second hand play. And of course, second hand play is different because you are the first side of your partnership that has a go. So very, very different. Okay, so clearly the motto should be second hand plays low, because hopefully your partner can come up and put something big on himself. So third hand play, we were worried that if it goes low and we play a low one, the declarer can win it cheaply. Second hand play, you play low because you're hoping your partner can come up with some goods. Now it does differ. Someone's saying, can't I'll put my microphone on. Oops. It does differ, of course, if a high card is led, and to be honest, that will be the major exceptions to this second hand plays low will be when a high card is led. But other than that, there are not many exceptions other than the very, very obvious. I guess if you've got a king doubleton, sometimes you will push it up because obviously it might fall on the next round. But even then, it's not always right to play it. So, you know, third hand play, we saw there was a lot of exceptions. Second hand play low, and it's the power. I've used this term a lot. The power of second hand plays low. We saw that in frozen suits. If second hand plays low, the third hand often has to waste a high card, and if declarer's doing it, that's good news. Okay, so there really are very few exceptions unless a high card is led. So let's look at a very simple example. This is actually a frozen suit in a way, but towards the end of the hand, often declarer will have to lead a club. Maybe he's drawn trumps, he's played his hearts and diamonds, he has to play a club. He chooses to lead a club, and all he is doing is hoping that West has the ace. He's taking a 50-50 shot. He's hoping that West has the ace. Remember, he cannot see the East-West cards. So he's hoping that it goes small, small, and then it would go king here. Okay, and if West has the ace, the king would win. But as it is, of course, the ace wins, and we could now lead a club back and take the whole suit. So we'd win 3 club tricks. Again, don't get me wrong, it's going to happen at the end of a hand. It's not something that a declarer shouldn't really be playing this suit because it's frozen, as it were. But if he has to at the end, maybe we've end played him. Okay. All right. So that's a simple one. Let's just change that suit slightly. Okay, I'm going to give you the dummy a slightly higher card. Okay, so you are sitting in the west seat. You've got the queen at 9-5 of clubs. North holds the king 7-2. Okay, so you've got the queen 9-5. North has the king 7-2, and declarer, who we can't see, is going to lead a club. So he leads the 4 of clubs, and you have to choose your play. Now, this is not designed to be a complicated play. It is here because some people will get it wrong. Okay, now we had 3 fundamentals of defense. Okay, don't get me wrong, if you're putting the wrong answer, don't worry. Part of the reason you're doing it is because you feel it must be a reason. Okay, the point about the fundamental laws of or rules of defense. The first one, you want your high cards to kill another high card. The second one is do not waste your middle cards. And what that really means is do not be self-conscious about the cards that are in your hand. So if you're self-conscious, you'd be thinking, well, maybe declarer knows I've got the 9 of clubs. Maybe I should play it and force the king. It's this expression, force the king. And it's very difficult as a defender. I mean, it's going to be easy when I say it and you'll think, oh, that's easy. But actually, it is very difficult as a defender not to be self-conscious about the cards that are in your hand. But imagine you were leading to dummy as declarer. How many times have you finessed the 7 in your life? And if you have ever finessed the 7, has it ever been a success? Okay. And the answer is probably you've never done it, and if you have, it wouldn't have been a success. The 7 will probably lose to the 8 or the 10 or whatever it loses to. Declarer, as we have already seen on the previous example, is simply leading towards the king in dummy. Your play is irrelevant. And so what I want you to do is keep your 9 of clubs, because that 9 of clubs could be valuable. Now, this is an unsubtle example, but there will be times where it's king 8 and you'll think, or queen 8, and you'll think, well, surely I should put the 9 in. But imagine, how often is dummy really going to play the 7? You do not need to play that 9. Please keep that 9. It is valuable, and we are going to see that now. Okay? So this is the holding. It's pretty much the same as last time, and you think, well, it doesn't make any difference. That 9 is gold dust. Okay? If it goes 4, 5, king, ace, as we saw, you will then make your queen a 9 because they're sitting over the jack. Okay? Look what happens if we waste that 9. It goes small. You put the 9 in to force the king. I'm putting those quotes there. Of course, you don't need to force the king because declarer was always going to play it. But he plays the king anyway. The ace wins. Suddenly, everything has changed. Because your 9 of clubs has disappeared, actually, it's declarer who's got that power. The jack and 8 are surrounding the 10. So if your partner led the 10 back, the jack would force the queen. The 8 has been promoted because your 9 has disappeared. Okay? Can you see that? This isn't easy stuff. Okay? Because we're self-conscious, we're looking at the cards and we think, well, sure. And often we tend to think that the 9 and 8 are not valuable anyway. But actually, as time goes on, you will find that the 3rd lead of a suit and the 4th lead of a suit can make such a difference. Okay? So, that's second hand plays low, okay? And to be honest, unless you've got 50 words to write for me on a piece of paper straight away, you've got to play low, Okay, you really do need to have an accurate reason for not playing low. The only main reason is when a high card is led. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, we've all been there. We're declarer, we've got the Queen of Clubs opposite the Ace Jack. We choose to lead the Queen of Clubs. Now, this is where the fundamental number one rule comes in. Okay, the fundamental number one rule I said was your high cards want to kill another high card. Okay, so if the Queen of Clubs is led, and I've got the king, my king is happy because my king wanted to kill that queen. Now, the king is not necessarily going to win the trick. It's probably going to lose to the ace. But the king's job is to kill another high card. And so that is what the king likes to do. Now, what I've said here is if in doubt, then cover. And what I really mean by that is if you cannot work out a good reason for not covering, then cover. Now, we will come across the exceptions later on in the week. Okay, and again, unfortunately, there are a few of them, but not as many as you would think. If you covered every single honour that was led, you would probably win 75% of the time. 25% of the time, it will be wrong and you might look silly, as it were. Okay, but most of the time you'll be right. So if you can't really work out, well, just cover, because that number one rule we said was your high cards will to kill another high card. If you want the full rule, it is this. You should cover an honour with an honour if there is a reasonable hope of establishing a trick. Remember, that is for you or your partner. Now, we saw one example of where there'd be an exception when we were looking at third hand play. And of course, that is when there is a solid sequence of cards. Queen, Jack, 10, 9. When it's Queen, Jack, 10, 9, and they lead the Queen, well, if your king kills the Queen and gets killed by the ace, there's no hope of establishing a trick. So that would have been one exception, and we will be looking at that exception later on, later on in the week. Okay, so that's the full rule. But if you can't work out whether there's reasonable hope, and remember, it's including your partner. So you might kill the queen with the king and think, well, I've only got the 3 and the 2 left. But of course, your partner might have. And so let's look at an example. It's the easiest thing to do. Here we go. Here's the first example. Okay, dummy holds the queen 3-2. And you hold the king 5-4. Dummy holds the queen 3-2, and you hold the king 5-4. Okay. Oh, sorry. The queen's led from dummy. The queen's led from dummy, and you have to decide what to do. So I'm hoping, given what I've just said, you're going to all put the king on. So I'm a string of kings. Don't worry if you don't. Okay, this is artificial anyway. Okay, and the point is, when I sit down, when I was playing online on Friday, and we'll be talking about that later, if I've got a king in my hand and I see the queen on my right, I am happy, because my king is going to get the opportunity to kill that queen. You are going to have to give me a really good reason for that king not killing the queen. Remember, it's the number one fundamental law of defense. Your high cards want to kill another high card. Okay. Remember, if declarer has the ace jack 10 9 8 of clubs, well, he's going to make them. He's going to take a finesse. Now, I suppose you might think, oh no, people don't take finesses against me. Well, then you're a lucky man or woman. Okay. For me, when they lead the queen, I'm not expecting them to put the ace on it. I'm expecting them to run it. And the key here is if you've only got one chance, because if you do not kill that queen, the only 2 cards you're going to be able to kill are the 3 and the 2. Okay, and of course, as someone said, what you're hoping is your partner might have the jack, the 10, or 9 to the 4, or whatever it is. Okay, there is a reasonable chance that my partner might have a card that will be promoted. Okay, so here, as someone mentioned there, 10 to 3, it's a relatively straightforward hand. If the queen is led, the king kills it. It gets killed, but that's not the point. Okay, declarers used 2 high cards on one trick. Your side have only used once. And that is the gorgeous thing here. Okay, and that's what your ambition of your king is. Okay, and of course what's happened is you are going to establish a trick for your partner's 10. Okay. Okay, so you're going to establish a trick for your partner's 10. Someone mentioning there what happens if there will be some exceptions that will come later in the week. Here we are just looking at the basics of covering honours, and then we'll come on later. Okay. The question there is the queen the correct lead? It probably is here, because in theory declarer can cross back to dummy and then finesse for the 10. Okay. However, the finesse won't work, as you can see, but declarer doesn't know that. So he's got the opportunity of a double finesse. He can lead the queen first. If it gets covered by the king and ace, he could cross back to dummy and then finesse for the 10. Okay. Now let's just check to see what happens if we don't cover. So the queen is led. Okay. If we don't cover, the queen wins. No surprise there. And your king is going to be very sad, isn't he? Okay. A small club is led now. What do you do? If you put the king in, your king has killed the 2. Okay. If you put the 5 in, your king later will kill the 3. It will have done nothing. Okay. Nothing. Okay. And so of course your king would die for no reason. And declarer will make all 4 tricks. Okay. Now I'm switching you, if that's all right. Okay, I'm switching you to the west side here. Switching you to the west side. You've got king 4-2. Okay, king 4-2. And declarer is going to lead. Dummy's got the ace, jack 3. Declarer leads the 10. So the declarer leads the 10. And you can see what dummy's got. Okay, you can see what dummy's got there. So you've got a choice. Now, a lot of people find this one difficult. So here we're going to have probably a balance between 2s and kings and things like that, or even a 4, just to be different. It's not easy. Bridge is not easy. But you need to give me a good reason for not covering, and that's important. So all of the people who are putting the 2 or 4 here, I now want you to write an essay, and I want to say, no, I don't want you to write an essay because it will fill up the screen. But I want you to write down on a piece of paper now your reasons for not covering that 10. Now, I know the 10 doesn't feel like a high card, but what can your king kill on this hand? And this is the key. Because what's going to happen is it turns out your partner has the queen. Great news. My partner can kill the queen with the 10 with the queen. But what happens to my king? My king kills nothing. Ah, my king hates it. My king has the chance to kill the 10, and then my partner's queen will be able to kill the jack. That is working as a partnership. Okay, so this is a really tricky one. Okay, it is a tricky one, but the idea is your king can only kill the cards on his right. Okay, if the queen is led, if declarer has the queen and 10, your king's never going to make. Declarer will won the 10 and then kill your king the next time. Okay, but if declarer is missing the queen, actually you want both your king and queen to work in tandem. Okay, all right, so let's see what we mean. So I'm going to cover it. Here's the holding. It's a classic holding. Okay, declarer's only got 6 cards. Maybe it's towards the end of the hand, and you may feel that maybe he should have led a small one. And mathematically, if you know your opponents are always going to do the right thing, leading a small one is perhaps best. Psychologically, though, I would say that leading the 10 is best, because a lot of Wests will struggle to cover. What is interesting, and believe me, this is strange, but it's true, if I swapped the 10 and the jack, if the jack was led instead, I think more of you would have covered the king, with the king. Can you see? But of course the 10 and jack are equivalent, but psychologically we sort of want our king to kill the queen or jack. But actually you want your king to kill anything it can. Bear in mind, if de Cleyre has the 10 and 9, we're assuming he is going to be able to do what he can. So he should lead the 10 of clubs the first time and then take the finesse again. Our king is probably going to die. So what we're doing here, let's just see, we're going to cover the 10 with our king. And then our queen, partner's queen, is there to kill the jack. Can you see? And we have both worked together. And de Cleyre just makes one trick in the suit. Okay. However, let's change and see if we don't cover the 10 of clubs and we do not cover that. Again, we feel happy our partner's made the queen, but then we look up to our left and look at dummy and we think, oh dear, I think my king is going to die for no reason. Okay, so that really isn't easy, takes getting used to. Again, someone's saying it's a frozen suit. Absolutely, it's the kind of suit that de Cleyre doesn't want to lead, but perhaps at the end of the hand he'll be forced to lead it, and those kind of things. It's an interesting suit. Okay, and as you can see, if the king doesn't do its job, it ends up having to throw itself, as it were, beneath the ace and jack. Okay, assuming de Cleyre takes another finesse. Don't forget, you will play against people who don't do that second finesse. It's something we talked about when we were planning in de Cleyre play. That second finesse is so important. Okay, so there's the full hand again. As I say, in theory, mathematically, de Cleyre's best chance is to lead small to the jack and hope that West holds on a doubleton. Okay, and it will happen so often. However, I think you're more likely to gain by leading the 10 of clubs here. Okay, so 10 is a high card. It's a high card. So for instance, if I've got a jack of clubs, one of my ambitions for the jack would be to kill the 9. Okay, because it will push up the other cards. Okay, so you, rather than playing the jack on, let's say, a small one, if the jack manages to kill a 9, it's possible that my partner's queen 8 holding would suddenly become valuable on the third and fourth round of the suit. Okay, so everything is relative, shall we say. Okay, let's look at one more and then we'll go back to the quiz. So you've got king 4-2, dummy holds the ace, queen, jack and 3. Okay, again, David's asking, you know, remember these are suits that de Cleyre feels he has to play at the end of a hand. Okay, so he's got to work out what he does best, and you know, the 10 of clubs may well work often. So here's another one. You've got king 4-2, dummy has the ace, queen, jack and 3. And the lead is the 10 of clubs. Now, I'm going to give you all a clue here, and you should really have got this because I have mentioned it quite a lot. I did say the exceptions to covering are going to come up later in the week. So from that, you probably should have all been putting the high card on every single one. Okay, and that's often what will happen in seminars. And of course, I'll probably give you questions next week, so on the next seminar, and of course, most of the answers is going to be the low one. Okay, so, but what's good is to say what you feel, okay? On a hand like this, when de Cleyre leads the 10 of clubs and you can see dummy, yes, there will be the odd time it's a singleton, okay? But that's going to be the very, very odd time. Most of the time, de Cleyre, when he leads the 10, is going to run the 10 of clubs. Okay? If you think that your partner might have length in the suit and it could be a singleton, that's a different matter. But it's going to be the 1 in 10 chance. Okay? Here, most of the time, de Cleyre is leading the 10 of clubs. And as Andy Elliott points out here, exactly the holding I'm going to show, your partner has 4 to the 9. Okay? The point is that 3 of clubs may not make a trick. It's that 3 of clubs that I'm looking at dummy. If I do not cover the 10 of clubs, okay, then the 10 of clubs I think is going to win the trick. But if I cover it, the ace will kill my king, of course, but that 3 of clubs in dummy may not be a winner. I'm hoping, excuse me, that my partner has 4. Now, You'd think, well, he might not have. Well, most of the time, declarer's going to lead the 10 of clubs and it will win the trick, and then he'll take another finesse. And your king won't make anything anyway. So why not use it to kill the 10 rather than just throw it away? So let's just see. There's the full hand. Okay. 10 of clubs is led. Declarer is as normally playing this suit. He's hoping to make, to be honest, he's just hoping to make 3 tricks. But if the 10 of clubs doesn't get covered, he makes a bonus 4. Can you see that? So here, if we cover with the king, of course, the last round of the suit, the 9 of clubs is going to come good, isn't it? Okay. Now, of course, declarer won't play it necessarily, but the point is he won't get a discard, or he won't get that extra over trick or something like that. Okay. If we don't, if we don't cover, so let's go back to the full hand there. If we don't cover, the 10 of clubs wins the first trick, and declarer simply takes another club finesse. Okay. So the 10 of clubs would win, and declarer would play another finesse. Okay. So I'll just quickly run through that, and that's that done. So let's have a look at that quiz. So the quiz, what do you open? It's not really partnership agreement on this or anything. It actually doesn't really matter what system you play, except if you play a strong club. Okay, if you play a strong club, you can't open a club, so that's a different matter. But here, it is just, I mean, it's just a 1 club opening, and it's all about planning your rebid. And clearly, if you open a club, if your partner bids a major, you're as happy as Lowy. And if your partner bids 1 diamond, you've kept the auction at a nice low level. It's really as simple as that. The old-fashioned system was bid the suit below the singleton. Modern style, the red and black singletons make a difference. Red singletons, we bid the suit below. Okay, so it's a 1 club opening. I'm hoping that was relatively straightforward. The idea is it just makes the bidding easier. Remember, if your partner's got a major, he's going to bid, so it goes a club, maybe he bids 1 heart, well, everything's easy. Okay, with 13 points, I don't like passing. Okay, I know some of you might choose to pass with 12. With 13 points, you do need to open the bidding here. Okay, and remember, if you are ever thinking of passing a 4-4-4-1 hand, generally the most difficult one is with a singleton club. Okay, when you have a singleton club, it's a difficult opening bid because we often have to think of opening a major. Okay, so with a singleton club, that is when you might think of just opening, maybe passing with 12 points, etc. But this hand, 1 club is a nice and easy bid. Here, your partner would have bid a diamond. You would rebid 1 heart. Remember, that's at the 1 level still, so it's not a reverse bid. That's so important, okay? If you bid 1 club followed by 1 heart, it is not higher than 2 of your open suit, so it is not a reverse. That's why we like a 1 club opener. If you open a heart and your partner bids 2 diamonds, you'd be completely stuffed. Okay, all right, you'd be completely stuffed. Okay, whereas 1 club, 1 diamond here is lovely. You would bid 1 heart. To be honest, East has then got a choice. He could bid 1 low trump or probably 2 diamonds. I think this diamond suit is probably good enough to bid 2 diamonds, and we would pass. Okay, and 2 diamonds is perfectly reasonable here. Okay, so 1 club is just leaves lots of space and everything and makes life easier. Okay, and you've got a nice rebid. Okay. So that is that one. Oh God, I nearly lost my microphone there. Oh, okay. A quick look at the DVDs. I promised I'd look at these. So we've said set 6, set 7. This is the last set that I created, set 8. Set 8 of the DVDs, which are available from the office, mrbridge.co.uk. Teams of 4. Which is the game I've been playing on Friday. Good fun, and it tells you the tactics and all sorts and scoring and all sorts about teams of 4. It's an interesting one. Game tries are fun. Disrupting declarer is defense, getting in the way of declarer's plans. Defending versus high card contracts. What that means is slams and 5 lower contracts and competitive bidding hands. Overcalls. I'm not sure how overcalls got in the last set of hands. That of DVDs, but it's about my reasons for overcalling and the ways I like to think about it. And pressing the defence is about getting a little bit desperate, playing all your high cards out. I look at it in a very simplistic manner, but I do show the idea of a squeeze, okay, which I don't necessarily expect too many of you to be able to play, but it shows that idea. And I'm going to show you an example of a squeeze in a moment, because of course one of them was going to come up on one hand, and a number of people have asked me about it, so I'll look at that. However, let's look at the quiz next. This is our next quiz, and it's one spade from your partner. Sorry, I'm relaxing too much. One spade from your partner, and it's your response. One spade from your partner, and you have to choose your bid. Okay, one spade from your partner, and you have to choose your bid. Okay, so have a think about that. One spade from your partner, and you've got to choose your bid. Okay. So we're going to look at Q plus now. So this is the hand that we saw in the teams. So let's have a look at it. Now, there was a lot of strange things going on. One thing I do have to ask you to bear in mind when we are playing the teams is that I don't know how many times you have played with an audience. Most people have maybe played with one or two kibitzers. They were playing last night, on Friday, with 1,000 people watching live. It's not unreasonable that some of them might make the odd error, etc., including myself. So please do bear that in mind. And of course, it could be wine as well. That's a good point. But it was great fun, and I'm glad that a lot of you enjoyed it. And obviously, the point is, you're doing it live. I'm trying to talk it through. I found it so much more easy talking, so rather than actually having to type. But let's look at this hand, which had plenty of errors in as well. This was the one that we bid. So let's just have a look and just go through the auction. And South is the opening bidder. Now, I've got a good excuse here. My partner loves playing the strong no trump. That is what he prefers to play, and he spends most of his time online playing the strong no trump. And so what happened, of course, is that he had forgotten he was playing a weak no trump tonight. So he had opened one heart there. So let's pretend that didn't happen. I spent a lot of time thinking about bidding 3 clubs, but in the end I bid 2 clubs just to keep it low. I prefer just bidding 2, but let me explain why there's a problem here, okay? Because if you bid 2 clubs, most of the time, because you're so strong, most of the time your partner will be weak, okay? Relatively weak. Let's say he's, I don't know, up to 16 points. So he may well rebid 2 hearts, and you are going to find yourself having a really tough next bid. Can you see that? 1 heart, 2 clubs from North. Don't look at the South hand. Imagine South bids 2 hearts. So don't look at the South hand. Imagine that South rebid 2 hearts. You are going to have a real struggle with what to bid with the North hand now, because you still want to try for a slam, don't you? Okay, really tricky bid. So 3 clubs is not the worst response to 1 heart. Okay, anyway, as it happened, it went 2 no trumps, which wasn't ideal. I mean, that would show 15 or more points, and that's exactly what I told the audience, that I was expecting 15 points. Okay, so at this point I've got 19. That's 34. I am choosing between a small slam and a grand slam, but I want to know. So I decided to jump to 4 clubs. Okay, and that is saying, partner, I'm serious about my hand. Okay, partner, I am serious about my hand, and I've got lovely clubs. What are my partner choices? Generally, his choices are 4 no trumps. Partner, I don't really like your clubs, and I'm happy playing in no trumps. Please just leave me. Or bid what you want to, but I don't really like your bid. For any other bid would be a Q bid, suggesting that he has club support. And Brian made a great bid here for diamonds, and that's crucial for me to trying to bid the Grand Slam, because I think 4 diamonds probably does suggest the ace of diamonds, and it should show club support. I would expect queen to 3 or 4 or something like that. At this point, I decided it was time to make a decision, and I offered the audience the choice of 6 no trumps or 7 clubs. I'm going to be honest, most of the audience chose 6 no trumps, but I went for 7 clubs. Okay, now if I was in a long, when Brian and I used to play as youngsters, we would have had complex arrangements, and I would have carried on bidding with a lot more science. Okay, when you are irregular partners, science tends to get things confused. Okay, I think there may well be a requirement of a rough in this Grand Slam if it's not cold. Bear in mind, I think if partner had 15, this Grand Slam may well have been cold. Okay, so I think it's not a bad bid, given that I'm expecting, remember, 15 points in my partner's hand, and a club support and the ace of diamonds. So we finished in 7 clubs, and as Mr. William Shakespeare would say, the play is the thing rather than the bidding, so ignore the bidding, it wasn't a thing of beauty. Let's see what happens in the play. So a diamond was led. Okay, and the defenders are going to play. Okay, the defenders are going to play here as the computer plays as opposed to live. Live, something went wrong and the Queen of Hearts appeared early. So what chance have I got of making this contract? Okay, well, I seem to have a lot of tricks. Okay, so if we go back, I need the clubs to break somehow reasonably, as long as East doesn't have them all. So let's say I've got 6 clubs tricks, 3 diamonds, 2 hearts and a spade. That all adds up to 12 tricks. Okay, so all I need is 1 more. I've got a choice of finesses, but what I'm going to do is play the ace and king of hearts and ruff a heart, and surely I've got a chance of the queen falling. So we're going to draw trumps first. Let's just play it out. Okay. Okay, and then we play the ace of clubs. Unfortunately, well, I say fortunately, the clubs break, but if West had had them all, I could have finessed as well. So we draw the last trump. Okay. And now, of course, what we do is we're going to play the ace and king of hearts and ruff a heart. And what I explained was, after that, I was going to play all my winners, and hopefully there may be some element of a squeeze involved. So let's play the hand out. So we play the ace of hearts, the king of hearts, and we could ruff a heart. Okay, and we're hoping the queen falls, and if it does, we've made it doesn't. That's a shame. Okay, now rather than just taking the spade finesse, I was going to play all of the winners out. So let's play them. You've got to play it carefully, because you've actually got to make sure you're in dummy at the end. So let's just see. Okay. So we're just playing these out. It seems strange to do it, but what we're doing is putting pressure just in case one person has lots of high cards. And unfortunately, the reason I'm showing this now is a number of people asked, because what happened was that someone was trying, someone misclicked, I think. So let's play the diamond. I play the ace of diamonds, and this is where it would have got tense. This would have been live. I still need to work out. So let's look at this last card. The king of diamonds is led. Ooh, the jack of spades is played. I've got to work out what's in East's hand. And do you know, I would have taken a sip of I was drinking rosé, I would have taken a sip of rosé, and would I have got it right? Okay, I have a feeling I might have done, but what's interesting is live, this would be relative. Well, it's not an easy hand to play, it's an awesomely difficult hand to play, but live, I think it would have been easy, because I would have seen East struggling enormously to find his discards. Okay. However, on the internet, it's not so easy, because there can be connection problems. But if I think the jack of spades is East's penultimate spade, I would play a spade to the ace, hoping that the king falls. And the reason this has happened, let me just go back. Let me just let you see the cards. The reason it's happened, of course, is because East had the Queen of Hearts. So when I play the last diamond, okay, what on earth does West discard? What does West discard here? Sorry, apologies. They've turned the hand on your left, East. What does he discard? If he chooses the Queen of Hearts, the Jack of Hearts is definitely going to win, isn't it? So he's done the right thing. He's thrown the Jack of Spades. Now I've got to try and work out that he's bared his king. Now, as I say, live, East would have been doing a lot of squirming, and I think it would be obvious on the internet. It would have been interesting to get to the end of the hand. Obviously, if you can see the cards, you drop the king and the queen would make. Okay. And that would have been drama indeed. Okay. It was drama. It was drama. It was drama. It's great fun. I'm sorry about all these bots and things sending messages, but a lovely hand, and it was great fun. And I can't thank my opponents and the people at the other table enough, because it is pressure and they enjoy it. I've got a few more volunteers, so we'll try and carry on and see if we can't carry on having some fun. I'm glad a lot of you enjoyed it. You can watch it if you want. It's on the site there still as an extra video. Okay, let's remind ourselves of that quiz. And the quiz is here. It's funny, yes, someone says Suzanne made it, you're so lucky, someone made it very easy for you. What a bridge player dreams of is that kind of hand. And playing it, you know, etc., etc. So yes, he did make it easy for me, but it's a lovely experience to try and get those hands right as well. Okay, so there's your quiz. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. You're responding to one spade. Okay. The question there was, is the squeeze better than one of the finesses? You're not necessarily taking the squeeze. You're playing the cards for the squeeze, but you have the option of taking the spade finesse at the end. You've got to decide. So if you think that the player's bared the king of spades, you would play for the drop, but actually, if not, you would just take the finesse. So you've got two choices at the very end. Just to sum up what we talked about today, bear in mind that we had a lovely, I think, relatively simplish topic at the start. Just ignore that last hand. I put it up there because it was fun, and it might draw your attention, obviously, to the video that we did on the live feed, and it's me talking about bidding. Okay, but it's obviously a very tricky hand. Don't forget, if you want, you've got those DVDs available from the shop, and we're going to carry on talking about talking about defense, and let's be honest, it's an awesomely difficult thing. Okay, thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye.